Live from Citizen TV, this is Tonight with Sam Gituku.
Hello there, thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this 10th day of April 2025. And tonight on Data Point, being the month of April, at the end of it, members of parliament will be receiving something good in their payslips because they'll be receiving something that is called mileage allowance. This is a new policy by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission that will see them pocketing 366,000 shillings every month to compensate for the travel to their respective constituencies. I'll be telling you about that and what has been the policy so far. And this new scheme will cost the taxpayer 1.8 billion shillings. You may wonder, what has it been? It has been currently at about 223 million shillings. This is a figure according to the Auditor General. So it is moving from 223 million shillings to 1.8 billion shillings, which is the minimum considering you have 416 members of parliament. I'll be telling you about that on Data Point later. But also tonight we have the news gang to be looking at the events of the past few days. And of course, the events of the week. We'll be talking about that later on. But first, here are the top stories tonight.
By the police. They took us to stage with nothing.
Tear gas and chaos. The National Drama Festival turns chaotic as Butere girls fail to stage controversial play Echoes of War.
Inawezekanaje kwamba mwanaharakati wa siasa ndio sasa ni mwalimu mkuu?
There is a culture that is currently creeping across the country where there is lack of order.
The government accuses scriptwriter Malala of manipulating school children to further his political agenda.
Not tear gas, even assault.
Another assault on journalists as police fire tear gas canisters at reporters covering Drama Festival drama in Nakuru.
We have not rehearsed. We don't have our directors.
On News Gang, drama at the schools' drama festivals and drama in the politics drama festival starring President Ruto, former DP Gachagua and former Attorney General Muturi. Good evening. Our sign language interpreter is Yola Nzale. We begin the bulletin with a storm that rocked the ongoing National Drama Festival. A day-long standoff over the controversial play Echoes of War by Butere Girls High School. The tension peaked with the arrest of playwright and former Senator Cleophas Malala on Wednesday night and culminated today in a bold boycott by Butere Girls students who refused to perform the play. Marian Nyambura reports on the real-life drama unfolding off-stage.
A cloud of tear gas marked the Thursday morning exit of Butere Girls High School students from the National Drama Festivals at Lyons Primary School. Moments after staging a bold boycott demanding the release of their detained play director, police moved in, dispersing the students with tear gas, turning a peaceful protest into a chaotic scene.
We were harassed by the police. They took us to stage with nothing. 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 Tumekuja shule. We have not rehearsed. We don't have our directors. We don't even have props. Wanasema tuende stage to perform. What are we performing with? How? Is this even fair to the students?
They refused to perform Echoes of War, a play penned by former Senator Cleophas Malala. Instead, the Butere Girls High School students stood their ground, singing the national anthem and voicing their frustration over what they described as weeks of mistreatment, including being denied rehearsal time. With heads held high, they walked off the stage, their silence louder than any performance. The students' arrival at the venue was nothing short of theatrical. Much like the play itself, it had taken on a life of its own. But the tension had been simmering long before the curtain rose. From Wednesday evening into the dead of the night, when police arrested former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala. Earlier this afternoon, Malala was released after spending the night behind bars at the Eldama Ravine police station.
Namuuliza wapi charge sheet, wapi summons, hakuna. Ilhali niko na order ambayo inaniambia nikuje nifanye mchezo huo. Sasa ukinishika katikati ya barabara kama hii, usiku umenipata hapa umenishika, sijui ananipeleka wapi.
His arrest casting a long shadow over the drama festival.
They are boxing, they are fighting in the dark. They don't know wanapigana na nani. So what I want to ask William Ruto, wewe ndio unasema kwamba you want to monitor his talent. Wewe ndio unasema kwamba unataka kukuza talanta. Sasa kwa nini unakataza watoto wadogo wa Butere Girls kuonyesha mchezo wao? Kwa nini unashika mimi? Mimi nimekosa nini?
What began as a standoff on Wednesday night quickly spiraled into chaos that spilled over to Thursday morning. At the center of it all, Butere Girls High School drama students who left the venue of the National Drama Festivals visibly shaken but defiant. Maria Nyambura, Citizen TV, Nakuru.
And the government has been on this story. The government is tonight blasting former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala for allegedly politicizing the ongoing drama festivals. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen is accusing the former UDA Secretary General of advancing his political agenda through craftily induced drama scripts aimed at activism. This as the Ministry of Education denies using tear gas to disperse Butere Girls learners moments after they declined to perform their play Echoes of War. Seth Olale has been on that story.
With the saga surrounding the Butere Girls drama performance eliciting public outrage, the government is accusing former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala for allegedly hijacking the show. Interior Cabinet Secretary calling out the former UDA Secretary General for allegedly politicizing the Butere Girls drama performance.
Inawezekanaje kwamba mwanaharakati wa siasa ndio sasa ni mwalimu mkuu mwenye anaandikia wanafunzi mambo ambayo yanasema na anatumia wanafunzi kusema mambo ya kisiasa.
Malala being accused of using the play stage to weaponize school children against authority and advancing his criticism against the government.
Wale wote ambao wanafanya siasa, tunawaomba muachie walimu wafanye kazi yao. Tuwaje kutumia watoto wetu kufanya siasa. Mpaka imefika wakati ambapo mtu mwenye kabisa tunajua ako mrengo fulani ya kisiasa, yeye ndio mwalimu mkuu ya mambo ya kuendeleza siasa kupitia wanafunzi.
There is a culture that is currently creeping across the country where there is lack of order across every sphere of life.
The government reiterating that all performing arts involving learners should be strictly undertaken by teachers.
Wacha walimu waangalie content ambayo wanafunza watoto wetu. Walimu wenyewe wanajua boundaries, wanajua jinsi ya kutumia lugha, wanajua jinsi ya kukosoa serikali na society kupitia lugha ambayo itasaidia wanafunzi wetu wajue hizi ni haki za binadamu ambayo inafaa, hivi ndio inji lazima iendeshwe, lakini pia walimu wanajua mipaka ya kiheshima.
You don't want a situation where you have members that people even wonder, was this an administrator or is this even an administrator?
One of them stepped forward and said they are not willing to perform without their director, Mr. Malala. And Mr. Malala is not a teacher in Butere, he's not a director in Butere, he's not a director of that play. So the students of their own volition decided not to participate.
It's against the rules and regulations of the drama festival to have a non-teacher or people who are not in the teaching fraternity to be able to direct or adjudicate plays.
The Ministry of Education denying reports that police used tear gas to disperse the learners moments after refusing to perform their play, Echoes of War.
And it can be confirmed that there was no tear gas today. It is only that the only incident that we know about today was the fact that the students were given a chance and they were not willing to to perform. That is the only incident.
Not tear gas.
The government also condemned the brutal force meted on journalists.
Sio halali na sio nia yetu kama idara ya usalama kwa njia yoyote kuumiza mwanahabari yoyote.
Government officials are in unison responding to the Butere Girls saga. However, questions continue to arise regarding how this whole issue came into existence. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, Lamu County.
And staying with the government's take, Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba now says the script of the controversial play Echoes of War was significantly altered at the regional level to include more offensive themes, prompting the school's Board of Management to request for its withdrawal from the national competition. This even as playwright Cleophas Malala's team threatens to move to court to demand for adherence to a recent court order that had reinstated the play. Chief Justice Martha Koome has, in the meantime, condemned violence against school-going children and called for the respect of the court orders and the rule of law. Safina Chengoma reports.
On my count, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
From 2013's Shackles of Doom to its latest play, Echoes of War, Butere Girls High School finds itself on the spotlight for a second time within 12 years for its fearless storytelling, seen as critical of the government. Echoes of War, scripted by former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala, explores critical issues of social justice and governance, which resonated with the 2024 Gen Z-led protests, a theme that is said to be the genesis of their frustration at the 2025 drama festivals. Despite showcasing its long-standing theatric prowess, which saw it win at the Butere sub-county level in Kakamega County and later securing third place at the Western Regional level, the controversy surrounding the exclusion of Butere Girls High School's play Echoes of War at the national level continues to brew.
Wale adjudicators or regionals wakaipatia marks 90% of the marks kwamba ikuje hapa nationals. So kama wale adjudicators 9 kule chini waliona kwamba huu ni mchezo ambao unafaa, kwa nini hapa tukifika nationals tunaambiwa kwamba amri imetoka kwenye State House kwamba mchezo huu si mchezo?
A statement by the Ministry of Education has, however, clarified that despite sailing through the sub-county and county level, the play's script was significantly altered to include more offensive themes at the regional level. The Ministry of Education claims that this is what prompted the school's Board of Management to request for the play's withdrawal from the national competition to avoid what the school felt would be an embarrassment. But comments about the script, according to a series of adjudicators' schemes availed to Citizen Television, did not include recommendation for the scriptwriter to expunge any offensive messages. On 22nd February 2025, the adjudicators termed it a learner-centered play that used appropriate language. On 11th March 2025, the play scored 89%, with the adjudicators commending the integration of the wisdom of the adults and the innovation of the youth in the plot. On the 22nd of March 2025, the adjudicators seemed impressed with what they indicated as a good scripting of the play and a choice of topical issue. The Ministry of Education further took issue with Malala's involvement in the play, claiming that he is not a registered teacher and hence not qualified to train. On 3rd of April 2025, the court ruled in favor of a petitioner, Anifa Mango, who had moved to court to challenge the controversial decision by the school's principal, Jennifer Omondi, to send Butere Girls drama students home at the height of preparations for the National Drama Festival. The presence of the students at the National Drama Festivals in Nakuru was, however, met with an unexpected setback, ranging from the arrest of the play's writer Cleophas Malala to other logistical and administrative challenges, which forced the girls to abandon their plans to perform at the 11th hour Thursday morning. Malala's legal team has threatened to go back to court.
From Nakuru City, what has happened here will not end here. It will be taken to our courts. It will be taken to international courts. It will be taken to our parliament.
And all people who are involved in this will face the consequences of the law. Right from the principal Butere Girls, who was issuing unconstitutional, illegal and retrogressive directions from the time the students left up to the time they were ordered to go back to Butere. To the regional director of Education Western Province, who acted out of ignorance in implementing the orders of his bosses. To the PS, all of them, the heads must roll.
Chief Justice Martha Koome has condemned the violence against school-going children, terming it a threat to the dignity, rights and welfare of children. In a statement, Koome called for the respect of court orders and the rule of law by all state organs, state officers and public officers. For now, it remains unclear whether the echoes of war will be silenced or the play will face a similar fate like that of Shackles of Doom, which was saved after the court allowed its performance in the 2013 Kenya Schools and Colleges Drama Festival in Mombasa County. Safin Achieng Oma, Citizen TV.
Still connected to that, the disruption of the play Echoes of War by Butere Girls High School in Nakuru has ignited fierce criticism from lawmakers, human rights groups and the public, who have condemned the events, describing them as blatant violation of constitutional freedoms and disturbing reminders of authoritarian rule. They argue that the actions taken against students and their trainers reflect an outdated, oppressive mindset that has no place in a democratic society. Butere MP Tindi Mwale is now demanding answers from the Parliamentary Committee on Administration and Internal Security, calling for a comprehensive report on the incident and immediate action to protect the rights and freedoms of students and creative professionals in the future. Melita Oletenges is on that story.
The arrest of drama trainer Cleophas Malala and the efforts to halt the performance of Echoes of War sparked outrage across both the National Assembly and the Senate, with MPs expressing deep concern over what they call the unjust targeting of students.
To unleash chemicals on innocent schoolgirls for simply expressing artistic truth is an unforgivable violation of rights and affront to freedom of expression in this country. This act is going to be interpreted as an act of repression. It is an unprovoked attack on moral integrity of our nation.
Let us leave our children out of this. Let us leave our children out of our politics. Let our children express themselves. They know their rights.
If you're okay when the kids recite poems calling you and Kowiliwa Mikate, also be okay when they call you and Kowiliwa Maumivu.
In the Senate, emotions ran high as leaders condemned the mistreatment of students, calling the events shameful and a disgrace on an already tarnished government.
Mr. Speaker, when a government goes down to this level, the Speaker, that government should resign. It has no business being in office, Mr. Speaker. We can't let our children be harassed the way they are being harassed today, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I have been in that space where if we actually were intentional in understanding that creative space, we would not be running up and down throwing tear gas. I was in high school, in charge of drama.
Butere Member of Parliament has called for accountability from the Ministry of Interior, calling on the Parliamentary Committee on Internal Security to act with speed to investigate the matter.
This situation raises serious concerns regarding the freedom of expression as enshrined in Constitution and Article 33, and the role of security agencies in protecting constitutional rights and freedoms.
Former Chief Justice David Maraga has condemned the incident, stating that no child should be punished or endangered for thinking critically, speaking boldly, or performing creatively. Silencing students through force and fear is a direct assault on their constitutional rights. Human rights organizations led by Amnesty International have also spoken out, condemning the incident and calling on IPOA to launch a swift investigation and hold the responsible officers accountable. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Now to the content of that piece of art, Echoes of War, the play by Butere Girls. It delves into themes of bad governance, blatant disregard for the law, and the widening gap between the youth and the older generation. Stephen Leto breaks down the synopsis of this play, which has now sparked widespread controversy.
Echoes of War, a powerful presentation by Butere Girls High School, Kakamega, that challenges the status quo and sheds light on the deep divides in society. There exists a natural balance between respect for the old and care for the young. Those who are old bring experience, while those who are young bring enthusiasm and creative innovation. This is the relationship that weaves together our ever-evolving society. This is Echoes of War. The artistic backdrop unfolds in the Royal Velvet Emirates, a fictional kingdom set in the heart of the Middle East, where power, tradition and tension collide. According to the playwright, this kingdom, the old have quickly lost trust of the younger generation. The young are agitated by the inflexible strictness of the old. The play, now the talk of the town, has sent shockwaves through those in power. It boldly exposes bad governance, blatant disregard for the law, rampant abuse of human rights, and a shocking neglect of the youth's voice. The story is told through characters: a royal ruler, the Sultan, who oozes all qualities of power and affluence. His elaborate movements paint him as an authoritative man in full control. Mama Anifa, a woman steeped in religion. She demonstrates qualities of an overprotective mother saddened by the pain of her daughter's mistake. Anifa's mistake in the play is becoming pregnant. A revelation she confides to her mother. Mustafa, accused of planting a bomb in Anifa's womb, is later shocked to learn that the bomb isn't a baby, but a desire for change. Anifa is not pregnant with a child, but with hope for affordable education, universal health care, and good governance. As the plot thickens, Mustafa is suddenly abducted by the Sultan's servants. Anifa, with sharp irony, asks if Mustafa had also planted a landmine in someone's fertile land. It becomes clear that Mustafa has been quietly influencing the younger generation, starting them toward resistance. In Echoes of War, the drama begins when the Sultan, the royal ruler of this fictional Middle Eastern kingdom, decides to silence Mustafa after learning he's been using his social media platforms to call out bad governance. Anifa and other youth use the power of AI and social media to call on the youth to stand up against the tyranny. The kingdom bulged in fury and streets swell with unrest. In the protests, they term the Echoes of War to be against religious leaders who chain modern minds, refusing to let the youth explore the possibilities of a new world. The war in the play was against parents who continue to cling on the rigid ways, a war against a society that has termed the young generation as rotten. They declared the war was against anyone who stood in the way of the youth, vowing to liberate their generation at any cost. The fury in the play was so intense that it reduced government institutions to ashes, leaving the kingdom in chaos. At one point, there was no ambulance available to rush the Sultan's son Xavier to the hospital. In the end, the Sultan, humbled and defeated, swallowed his pride. He called the youth to the table, incorporating their voices and expertise into the running of his administration. Never again shall we dance to the echoes of war, the Sultan proclaimed, and in unison, the youth shouted back their resolute response: the war is over. A declaration that echoed through the kingdom, signaling the end of an era of conflict and the beginning of a new chapter. One where the youth's voices are no longer silenced, but heard and respected. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
But there's a history to this, and that's what we want to focus on. Controversy around theatre and performing art runs deep in the history of Kenya, dating as far back as the first and second post-independence administrations when playwrights rubbed governments the wrong way. From Ngugi wa Thiong'o's I Will Marry When I Want to Francis Imbuga's Betrayal in the City, governments have never sat easy in the theatre seats where scriptwriters confront society with some of its most uncomfortable reflections. Emmanuel Tot traces the history of stage-inspired state discomfort.
All the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players. An excerpt from William Shakespeare's play, As You Like It, written in 1599. Just like in the controversial Echoes of War play by former UDA Secretary General Cleopas Malala, the playwright was at it again exactly 12 years ago when he penned the Shackles of Doom play, which hit the headlines, forcing the government to pull the plug before the National Secondary Schools Drama Festival's gala in April 2013 in Mombasa County.
I was just trying to expose the evil deeds that are happening in the society. And so the word Shackles of Doom came into my mind and I saw it. It worked so well.
The gripping 48-minute play, which was also staged by Butere Girls High School then, depicted a fictitious community known as the True People of Kana, an allusion to the Turkana community who complained about exploitation by a wealthy community from the Mount Kenya region. It took the intervention of then activist, now Busia Senator Okiya Omtatah, to save the play.
I went to court. I challenged the ban, and the ban that time had come right from the ministry. It was in black and white that they were not going to allow the play.
Just over 10 years after the country got its independence, celebrated writer Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o's play, I Will Marry When I Want, which portrayed post-colonial struggles, was shot down as soon as it was staged. Officers in President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta unhappy with its content.
Ulikuwa unaongelea kuhusu mmoja wa kuu sana serikalini wakati huo aliyekuwa mwanasheria Charles Njonjo, ambapo hakuwa ameoa wakati huo. Sasa huo mchezo ulikuwa ni kana kwamba unamkashifu ama unamkejeli kwamba nitaoa nikitaka lakini niko na mamlaka na sasa ukaleta gumzo na ukaleta tumbo joto mpaka yule aliandika ule bwana Ngugi wa Thiong'o akaenda uhamishoni.
The controversial play made a comeback 2 years ago after it was banned again 30 years earlier. And just like his predecessor, Kenya's second president Daniel Toroitich arap Moi also showed his phobia for critical theatre, shooting down the Makwekwe, loosely translated to Weeds play, written by Tim Wandiri. As was practiced those days, the teacher of drama would later lose his job. In 1982, the government slammed brakes on 2 other plays, Visiki, translated to Tribulations, and acted by Chepterit Girls School, and Kilio, A Cry, acted by Nairobi School. The list goes on and on. And now the Echoes of War, which has sent shockwaves across the nation due to its thought-provoking nature, has faced similar challenges, raising concerns that the country was sliding back to the dark ages.
I still bear scars of Nyayo House, and I will take medicines for life, but that's a small price to pay.
School is not an island. A school is not a silo. A school is part of the community, and you cannot treat it like some silo that is insulated from what is going on in the community.
The history makers calling for the respect of art.
The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. We'll need to learn from history, from people who have gone through this, and people who are prepared to remind Ruto that when he was in YK 92, fighting against us, we fought and successfully repealed Section 2A.
Drama is you, art is me. I, as a Munga Kanyalabandu, I cannot run away from myself.
Emmanuel Tot, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Back to Nakuru, journalists covering the drama surrounding the controversial Echoes of War play were caught in the crosshairs of police hostility. Moments before the arrest of former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala, the playwright, officers lobbed tear gas at the media, disrupting live broadcasts. The attack, which lasted for 4 tense hours outside Kirobon Girls High School, left 3 journalists injured. This latest assault highlights a growing trend of journalists being targeted while on duty. Police spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga confirmed the incident is under investigation, as Gatete Njoroge now reports.
Wednesday night and the air in Rongai, Nakuru County is thick with white smoke. Police officers stand firm, determined to block journalists from covering the arrest of former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala, lobbing tear gas in an attempt to disperse the media. Undeterred, journalists scramble for cover, all the while keeping their cameras rolling, capturing every tense moment as the officers move in. The drama began when Cleophas Malala, playwright of Echoes of War, arrived at Kirobon Girls High School for a rehearsal ahead of their Thursday morning performance. But his plans quickly unraveled as police blocked his vehicle, and the former ruling party Secretary General was arrested under unclear circumstances.
Marianne!
What really sparked tension, however, was the presence of the media. In the chaos that followed, 3 journalists were injured, including Citizen TV's Marianne Nyambura, Inoro TV's Robert Maina, and Standard Group's Peter Kimani.
I was watching Citizen News. I was touched by the brutality the police were handling the journalists, particularly a lady who was carrying live news, live Citizen. The girl was tear gassed 3 times. We are going to raise this matter. I'm going to request for a statement from the minister to explain.
The 3 journalists who sustained soft tissue injuries were rushed to the hospital, treated and later discharged. In a statement, police spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga condemned the assault on journalists, labeling it as a criminal act. He assured the public that the incident is under investigation and that any officer found guilty of misconduct would face consequences. Yet, this response has become all too familiar as security forces continue to target journalists in the course of their duty, an alarming trend that raises serious concerns about press freedom. Back in December, a team of journalists from Citizen TV and TV47 fell victim to police excesses outside the DCI headquarters. Their assignment to cover politicians linked to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who had been summoned, quickly turned hostile. Officers confiscated their equipment and phones, leaving the journalists with little recourse.
That was a very isolated incident.
DCI boss Mohammed Amin later apologized. However, the apology has done little to quell growing concerns over the treatment of the press. During the anti-government protests between June and July last year, K24 journalist Wanjeri Kariuki was shot 3 times, allegedly targeted by a police officer while covering the demonstrations. It took her over 3 months to recover before she could return to her duties. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Right, as we reflect on the echoes of war, we are taking a short break here. When we come back, we have data points. I'll be telling you about what awaits members of parliament at the end of this month. And of course, it will have some implication to you as a taxpayer. Stay tuned for that. On Data Point tonight, members of parliament set for an improved mileage allowance to cost the taxpayer 1.8 billion shillings every year.
Create
Craving an extraordinary escape? View Travel invites you to breathtaking Cape Town. Starting from $1,300 per person sharing, enjoy 4 nights with breakfast plus Cape Town City Tour, cable car ride up Table Mountain, full-day Peninsula Tour, scenic Chapman's Peak Drive, Cape of Good Hope, photo stops at Bokap and Muizenberg, Constantia Wineland Estate Tour. View Travel, your gateway to Cape Town's wonders. Visit viewtravel.com or call and WhatsApp 0703-254-254. View Travel. Dream. Explore. Discover.
Si niliwaambia. Halo. Niletee kama kawaida.
Kama sio Kavagara, wacha kiumane.
Hii chapati ni tamu sana.
Omera, sere bila Kavagara, sio sere.
Dukani usitishe unga, itisha Kavagara.
The Smarter Bundle. Bundle imetosha. 30 GB monthly data. 400 minutes talk time to any network. 100% rudishiwa on Airtel Money transactions, bank to wallet, pay bills, and agent withdrawals. Subscribe to the Smarter Bundle today. Dial *544# or visit My Airtel app. Airtel Smarter Bundle. Browse, chat, call. Airtel Money. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Get business credit card from Cooperative Bank and pay for business stock and supplies on credit instead of using your own money. You can make payments in Kenya, abroad, and online.
Pepsodent is aware that globally 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. Give her Pepsodent. It repairs tiny holes and forms a protective layer for maximum cavity protection, so she can grow up with a confident smile. Every smile matters.
Across the globe, we found our rhythm.
In every corner, in every space, we're leaving our mark, we're breaking boundaries.
But there's something special about being a Kenyan.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it's all about the connection.
A spark, the unspoken joy whenever we unite.
The language, the laughter, the lessons, it's all about the connections.
It's what makes us special in every kind of way.
So every Saturday from 10 p.m. till late, we bring you closer to home and take you on a journey.
Where Kenya meets the world and the world meets Kenya.
Tune in, connect.
Every Saturday from 10 p.m. till late.
Diaspora Connect, starting this Saturday at 10 p.m.
This Friday on Kenya's Gold, as we address climate change and sustainability, we educate you on how to make clean money from dirt through the black soldier flies.
Basically, the black soldier fly is now becoming a really good business for women and for youth, or younger people, I should say.
We'll sit down with Professor Wendy Amberger, CEO of the Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research, to discuss the future of agriculture and the impact of research.
Now to data point. Remember, I told you that there is something changing for members of parliament. Recently, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission wrote to the Parliamentary Service Commission communicating some changes on how members of parliament benefit from transport allowances and mileage claims. Let's take a look at the resolutions that were communicated by the SRC. The car maintenance allowance will be 356,525, meaning that every month a member of parliament will receive this money for car maintenance. But it is important to note here that this is an allowance that is existing. It has been going on. They were restating it in that communication, but something changed. Let's take a look at what it was, and it is to do with the mileage allowance. So previously, they have been claiming for mileage, but now the SRC is communicating that every member of parliament will be entitled to a mileage allowance of 366,011 shillings. If you have to take a look at the 416 members of parliament, that is the members of the National Assembly and the senators, that will give a total of 1.82 billion shillings every year. We'll compare that against what is the current cost before this resolution takes effect later. So the claimable mileage allowance will still exist. So there's a difference, because currently what was happening is that every member of parliament would claim based on the distance that they cover from parliament to their constituencies. Now, with that 366,000 being given as a standard mileage allowance for members of parliament whose constituency offices are more than 25 kilometers away from Nairobi, they'll also be claiming at a rate of 152.6 shillings per kilometer for the extra distance. But you remember that it's a return distance or return journey that is going and coming back to Nairobi. Let's take a look at the next one, which will tell us about the one return journey. This is the old policy. The existing policy, you're entitled to one return journey every week for the 52 weeks in a year. And again, the rate is 152.6 shillings per kilometer. So again, the distance covered from parliament to the constituency office is what you claim. We'll be looking at some of the examples in calculation. So the old mileage, the old policy had zones. The first zone was between 0 and 350 kilometers, meaning from parliament to your constituency office. So what is the distance? So the first zone would be catered for at a maximum of return journey of 700 kilometers. Of course, 350 times 2 gives you 700. The rate remains the same, and the maximum that you'd claim if you're in that zone would have been 462,887. But if you come from a constituency that is beyond 350 kilometers from Nairobi, then you would also claim for the particular distance that you cover every other week. Let's take a look at what else has been happening. This is how you calculate. So you calculate the mileage claim by taking the maximum return journey. So if you come from Nairobi to your constituency, times the number of weeks, which is 52 weeks, times the rate, which is 152.6 shillings, and you divide that by 12 months to get the monthly claim that you should file. And this is what members of parliament have been doing. Let's take a look at the next one, which gives us an indication for someone who is a member of parliament for Moyale constituency in Marsabit County. And again, this example is taken just for the sake of illustration, no target to the member of parliament. The constituency office of Moyale is about 778 kilometers from Nairobi. So for them to claim the double distance, which is the return trip, going to Moyale and coming back, that would be 1,556 kilometers. If you had to calculate that at the rate of 152.6 shillings, that would be 1.03 million shillings per month, which the member of parliament would claim from the Parliamentary Service Commission for the distance covered. So I'll be telling you of how it has been going on and the questions that are being raised by the Auditor General. But again, in Moyale, so now this member of parliament, because of the new policy, will receive a standard mileage allowance of 366,011 shillings, but will claim for the distance beyond 205. Remember, we're talking about 778 kilometers. So the difference of that times 2 gives you a return journey of 1,146 kilometers. If you calculate with a rate of 152.6 shillings, he will be claiming a further 757,811 shillings. If you are to look at that total, 366 plus 757 gives you a total of 1.12 million shillings. Of course, at the moment, he had been claiming 1.03. So there's a difference here. It will be an additional 95,000 that member of parliament will claim. But again, the allowance of 366,000 might be subjected to taxation. That's just important for you to note. Let's take a look at a constituency that is not so far from Nairobi. In this case, Gatanga constituency in Murang'a County. It is a distance of 58 kilometers from Nairobi to the constituency office in Gatanga. The return trip would then be 58 times 2, which is 116 kilometers. At the rate of 152.6 shillings, the member of parliament there would claim 76,706 shillings per month. But the new policy is to give a mileage allowance of 366,011 shillings. So there's a benefit, an additional benefit of 289,000 that member of parliament will be entitled to. Of course, questions have been raised by members of parliament saying that because they come from nearby constituencies, they go to the constituencies more than once in a week, and therefore they felt that they were disadvantaged because the members of parliament from further counties are able to claim up to more than 1 million shillings, but sometimes they don't necessarily travel by road, or sometimes they don't essentially travel to their constituencies every other week. So they were talking about some fairness. Now, the Auditor General raised some questions after reviewing the financial statements of 2023-2024 of the Parliamentary Service Commission and found that members of the National Assembly spent up to 4.6 billion shillings on domestic travel and subsistence allowances. Out of that, the mileage claims by members of the National Assembly was 183 million shillings. At the Senate, 1.2 billion shillings was spent on domestic travel and subsistence allowance, but the claim for mileage was 40.2 million shillings. So what will change with the new report to be, the new policy will be looking at that. But the Auditor General also raised questions that the travel is done using personal vehicles, which is fine. But how do you make a claim? The claims are only supported by transport claim forms, and the auditor raised questions saying that there are no internal control mechanisms or any additional documentation to verify that a member actually traveled before making this claim. So there was no reading of the odometer on the cars, the distance covered before you left Nairobi and got to your county, and by the time you come back, that is information that the auditor did not see, and therefore raised questions saying that this may lead to loss of public funds. But then, if you look at something else in as far as the changing policy, so the members of parliament still receive, these are the benefits of members of parliament. The gross salary for an ordinary member of parliament, who is not a leader of majority, is not a leader of minority or any leadership role, will receive 725,000 shillings as gross salary. They will receive car maintenance allowance of 356,000. Now, mileage allowance of 366,000 before claiming for any further distance covered. So far, the total is 1.45 million shillings before other allowances or other benefits. Let's take a look at how they look like. So, other benefits that members of parliament are entitled to: motor vehicle reimbursement of 7.5 million shillings, which they get once every term. The committee sittings, when they attend, per month, they're entitled to a maximum of 120,000 shillings for members of committees. For chairpersons of committees, they're entitled to up to 240,000 shillings for the duties that they execute in the committees. Again, the mileage claim, they will be entitled, if you come from a distance more than 205 kilometers, you'll get at the rate of 152.6 shillings. A special duty allowance is accruing to members of parliament that have leadership roles, for instance, 150,000 shillings per month. And of course, every member of parliament, if you don't have any leadership role, you receive airtime of 15,000 shillings every other month. So what else happens because of the changing policies? Let's take a look at that, which will tell us. Right, because I wanted us to compare between, so currently the members of parliament are spending up to 223 million shillings on mileage claims, but now with the changing policy, at least 1.8 billion shillings will be spent by the taxpayer to cater for the mileage allowances for members of parliament. And of course, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has communicated to the Parliamentary Service Commission, but they are yet to gazette that, but they are saying it takes effect immediately from the 1st of April, and therefore this will be happening in the salaries of April 2025. That's data point for this week. To another story now, President William Ruto's lawyer, Katwa Kigen, has withdrawn from the ongoing interviews for the position of Commissioner of the Independent Electorate Boundaries Commission, IEBC. Kigen, who was slated to appear before the IEBC selection panel on Thursday, cited the need to avoid unnecessary attention that could distract from the Commission's core mandate. Kigen represented President William Ruto during the 2022 presidential petition at the Supreme Court and was part of his International Criminal Court defense. His candidacy had raised impartiality concerns due to his close ties with the president. His decision to step back comes amid growing scrutiny over potential conflicts of interest. To another story, business owners are counting losses running into millions of shillings after their premises were damaged during yesterday's explosion to demolish the sinking 11-story building in Mombasa. The traders are now demanding for compensation from the county government for loss of business for the period they have not been operating. Coast General Hospital remains closed, leaving dozens of patients stranded outside with nowhere to go. For the better part of the day, county officials combed through the debris searching for a man feared to be trapped beneath the rubble. Yusuf Ali Abdi was last seen in CCTV footage walking towards the building just moments before it came crashing down. His family has threatened to bring private excavators if the rescue efforts are not expedited.
Ukiangalia hapa nyuma safari saa hii waona kwamba wale watu ambao wanafanya hii shughuli wana prioritize kuokota kwenye mambo na scrap metals. Na sisi kama familia tumehuzunisha sana. Maana mtu wetu amepotea, yuko pale ndani. Tunaomba serikali tupatie fursa sisi wenyewe tuje na excavators yetu tumtafute yule kijana yuko wapi. Sehemu ile yuko ndani tuaijua pia.
Angalia mpaka sasa hili jumba liko vile vile chini linteremshwa, tena itatukua tena wiki mbili kuvundwa kutolewa hizi ghasia. Tayari hii barabara ishafungika vile vile tena biashara za watu. Hamuoni kwa ni athari.
Kwa hii nyumba inatakana kama shilingi $800,000 hivi. Ndio hasara tumeingia. Maana milango juu imeanguka, madirisha yameanguka, kila kitu imevunjika, hata zile sliding windows. Kwanza hizo zimevunjika zote.
Kwa nimerifaa kutoka Makueni wote. Na nilikuwa leo ndio ilikuwa deadline nifanyiwe hizo ukarabati operation. Sasa mambo naona yamebounce sasa, sijui tutaanza wapi tumaliza wapi. Hata unaona hata hizo signs zenyewe ni hizi huku hivi. Na hakuna venye tunaweza na matibabu yenye nilikuwa nimetuma ni hapa. Si unaziona hizi.
Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's longtime bodyguard George Oduor, who passed on last week, has been eulogized as a true patriot and a trustworthy Kenyan. Speaking at a funeral service at the House of Grace Church in Nairobi West, attended by several leaders and close family members of the ODM leader, George, who worked for the Odingas for more than 30 years, was described as a loyal protector to the former Prime Minister. The Odinga family, represented by the children Rosemary Odinga, Winnie Odinga and Raila Jr., gave glowing tribute to a man they say was more than just a bodyguard, but a friend and a family to them. They recollected the many years the late George risked his life protecting them. George will be laid to rest at his home in Dori, Siaya County this Saturday.
George's life is a testament to resilience, a testament to determination, and a testament to what you can call loyalty.
George believed in his boss, but more importantly, he completely believed in the possible outcome of the struggle his boss was waging. He may have been a bodyguard, tasked with no more than the personal safety of his boss, but George saw himself as part of something bigger, not just for Baba, but for the country. He believed he was a freedom and liberating fighter, and that Kenya needed liberation, which he believed his boss would deliver.
This year's Frisbee tournament will be held in Diani, Kwale County from the 18th to the 21st of April. The tournament is set to bring together more than 10 countries this year, with Vil Travel in collaboration with All Africa Flying Disc Federation being the official organizers of the tournament.
This is an organization that stands and represents all the African countries that play Frisbee. In Kenya, essentially we've been playing Frisbee for quite some time, and we are looking forward to an event that will be happening at the coast in Easter. And this event is an event that has been running for close to 15 years now. So this is going to be the 15th edition that will be attracting representation from countries all over Africa.
We definitely knew we were going to get masses, so a few hotels partnered with us and gave us incredible rates during this Easter period. So we are calling upon you, if you've not booked that hotel, trust me, we have the best rate in the market at the moment. As we travel, we are always excited for these new partnerships, and we thank you for reaching out. We feel like this is among one of the best experiences that we are getting as a company, given that we've embraced now the sports tourism. And we thank you for coming on board. And this is also a call out to all our VIEW travelers. During the Easter period, when you're traveling and everything that you're doing, we asking you to reach out to us. Go enjoy during your daytime.
And with that, so we're taking a short break here on Tonight. When we come back with business and sports, but remember, the news gang is here tonight. New report shows Africa is losing nearly $89 billion every year to illicit financial flows.
This Easter, fill your table with joy and your hearts with savings. Citizen Duka's Easter package is your ticket to a delicious and affordable celebration. Get 2 packs of 2 kg wheat flour for $270, down from $290. 2 kg of premium basmati rice for only 589 shillings, down from 767 shillings. 1 liter of cooking oil at 299 shillings, down from 350 shillings, and 2 kg of sugar for just 289 shillings. This is a total of 1,447 shillings, meaning you will be saving 259 shillings. It's easy. Dial *487*5#. Select your package, make your payment, and pick your package at any Quickmart supermarket near you.
Citizen Duka, the home of discount.
The Smarter Bundle. Bundle imetosha. 30 GB monthly data. 400 minutes talk time to any network. 100% rudishiwa on Airtel Money transactions, bank to wallet, pay bills, and agent withdrawals. Subscribe to the Smarter Bundle today. Dial *544# or visit My Airtel app. Airtel Smarter Bundle. Browse, chat, call Airtel Money. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Life is about building benchmarks to remember. We're not just discussing blueprints and figures. We're talking about making our mark. Building our pride, joy, and future. It's not just metal. It's safety. It's peace of mind that makes this place home. Our steel isn't just about strength. It's about resilience. Every time we lay a foundation or raise a roof, we're building more than just structures. We're building a legacy, a footprint, a promise to remember for life. Our mark isn't just in the buildings we build. It's in the lives we impact, the communities we strengthen, and together we'll leave our mark on this world.
Cooking kuku for your friends doesn't need to be tricky anymore. With Kikkoman soy sauce, making delicious Kikkoman glazed kuku is fast and simple. Kuku glazed ikiwa tamu, hangout na mabeste ni fiti. Kweli, kuku ni cool na Kikkoman.
Home is where it all begins, where love thrives and every surface tells a story. With Ace Multipurpose Cleaner, enjoy the calming pine scent, the calm scent of Ace Disinfectant with apple fragrance, the vibrant citrus scent of Ace Bathroom Cleaner, and the soft ocean fragrance. With Ace, you're one step closer to acing life on every surface. Ace, the scent of home and the power of clean. Ace products are available in all leading supermarkets countrywide.
Please can I have that and that? Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Ukiwin, beshte yako in your local shop win too. Hii ni the Cadbury Big Win-Win. Nunua any two participating Cadbury products. Scan QR code ama WhatsApp hi kunominate beshte yako in your local shop. Stand a chance ya kushinda share yako in cash prizes plus more. A win for you is a win for all. T's and C's apply.
Experience Swiss-based education in the heart of Nairobi. With practical, hands-on skills, we prepare you for the dynamic world of culinary arts in patisserie or international hospitality management. Travel the world and gain global work experience through our international placement network as you shape your career as the next global future leader in hospitality. Welcome to the Boma International Hospitality College. May intake is ongoing.
Amigad, Amigad, Amigad. Mkulima wa mahindi, dawa nambari 1 dhidi ya Fall Armyworm nchini Kenya ipo nawe tena msimu huu kulinda mahindi yako kwa kuangamiza Fall Armyworm kikamilifu. Amigad imethibitishwa na serikali na inatumika na wakulima kote nchini Kenya. Jipatie yako leo kutoka katika Agrovet yoyote iliyo karibu nawe. Amigad kutoka Farmfix Africa Limited, dawa kamili dhidi ya Fall Armyworm.
I don't scare elderly. Watu wazee siwashtui, watoto wadogo siwashtui. Obedhi hutumia do mingi sana kwa damages. Enda place kitu ya mtu inaharibika, ama mtu avunjike mguu, ama mtu akimbia aumie. Lazima nimpeleke OC, atibiwe na ni make sure ako sawa.
Watch this story and more. Download the Citizen Digital app or visit www.citizendigital.com and find the Citizen Originals portal.
Kenya's #1 app, Citizen Digital.
Across the globe, we found our rhythm.
In every corner, in every space, we're leaving our mark, we're breaking boundaries.
But there's something special about being a Kenyan.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it's all about the connection.
A spark, the unspoken joy whenever we unite.
The language, the laughter, the lessons, it's all about the connections.
It's what makes us special in every kind of way.
So every Saturday from 10 p.m. till late, we bring you closer to home and take you on a journey.
Where Kenya meets the world and the world meets Kenya.
Tune in, connect.
Every Saturday from 10 p.m. till late.
Diaspora Connect, starting this Saturday at 10 p.m.
Now, stakeholders attending the EU-Kenya Business Forum have called for accelerated efforts to digitize trade processes as part of wider plans to boost economic ties between Kenya and European markets. Speaking at the forum, ICT Cabinet Secretary William Kabogo said the government has put in place the necessary infrastructure and policy framework to support the digital transformation of trade. On her part, the EU ambassador to Kenya, Henriette Geiger, underscored the importance of digital innovation in shaping the future of global commerce. The forum brought together business leaders, policymakers and investors from both regions, aiming to strengthen economic cooperation and drive investment in key sectors such as agriculture, renewable energy, ICT and manufacturing.
Kenya is importing high-value products from the EU, finished products, machinery, technology. So Kenya should look into that space, for example, also with digital products.
I talked about some of the programs that we're running for young people to be able to learn digital skills, to be able to access digital jobs, but also our own small businesses that we're really training on digital, the whole digital economy.
Kenya and Europe has an opportunity right now that is greater than before. I don't want to tell you why, but you know what's happening in the world. So we want to say to all Kenyans, and especially people of East Africa, to take advantage of this forum.
Africa is losing nearly $89 billion each year to illicit financial flows. That's according to a new audit report presented by Kenya's Auditor General Nancy Gathungu. The coordinated efforts by supreme audit institutions across the continent has revealed deep weaknesses in how public resources are monitored, raising serious concerns about corruption, tax evasion, and environmental impact. Omboi Wangoi reports.
A new audit covering 16 African countries has revealed that the continent is losing $88.6 billion every year through illicit financial flows. Corruption, tax evasion and trade mispricing are among the key drivers.
It has been realized that in monetary terms, what is lost because of illicit financial flows is much more than all the debts of the African countries put together and all what comes into the African countries put together. So it is in our interest to arise, use this report and do something for our governments. Thank you.
And we realize that if we can combat to an extent illicit financial flows due to the various either corruption measures or due to lack of coordinated effort or due to lack of critical and serious action, then perhaps we can actually finance our budgets comfortably without having to go to development partners or without having to incur public debt.
12 out of the 16 participating countries submitted their findings with a focus on high-risk sectors such as banking, construction and the extractive industries. The audit uncovered systemic gaps, including outdated financial systems in many governments, weak legal frameworks and limited oversight in how public resources are managed.
The weakest link has been lack of sanctions, not just within our countries for those who are culpable and who are actually involved in this menace of taking out our resources, but also lack of action in where these resources are coming in.
In many cases, supreme audit institutions across the continent reported difficulty in accessing key documents, with some government institutions unwilling to cooperate. Illicit financial flows have been made worse by risks such as increased cryptocurrency use, global mineral demand and rising public debt, making it more difficult to monitor and manage financial flows across the continent.
But despite these challenges, tools such as artificial intelligence are coming in to help detect and deter illicit activities. However, greater institutional cooperation between institutions involved in this sector is required to meaningfully deal with illicit trade on the continent. Wambui Wangoi, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The government is set to hand over an additional 1,088 units under the Affordable Housing Program to residents of Mukuru slums before the end of the month. This is according to Housing Secretary Athman Said, who also defended the government against allegations of single-sourcing building materials for the affordable housing project. Said spoke to Citizen TV's Jimmy Mbogo on the sidelines of the Kenya Green Building Stakeholder Roundtable.
Nancy, I can take one more.
The government has dismissed claims that funds meant for the affordable housing program are being diverted to ventures benefiting a few senior officials. It maintains that cases where funds have been directed towards other developments, such as markets, fall under social infrastructure, which is essential to creating holistic livable ecosystem as part of the affordable housing strategy.
The housing levy is ring-fenced. You know, by law, you cannot spend the housing levy for anything else apart from housing. You know, now the housing is defined in the law to include not just the four walls, to include social infrastructure and to include physical infrastructure. What does that mean? It means that if you're going to put 1,000 units, that's about 5,000 people. They must have access to schools, they must have access to health facilities, and people are trading.
Said also revealed that more than 1,000 affordable housing units will be handed over to beneficiaries by the end of the month. And this comes as he distanced the government from allegations of cronyism in the awarding of supply tenders, and noting that procurement decisions were made independently by contractors.
The one we have mentioned, Devki, is just one of the suppliers. Remember that the people who are making decisions where to get the materials from is the individual contractor. The government does not procure materials currently. They get cement from whatever they're going to get. They get steel from wherever they're going to get. So we do not have a single source.
The government has also been urged to offer incentives to private sector players in order to unlock new capital and bridge the housing deficit. Stakeholders are further calling on developers to adopt modern, cost-effective building technologies.
We don't have clear incentives when it comes to affordable housing, and we need to be clear on that. And then separately, now with sustainability, a key barrier is if I do it the green way, what am I getting in return?
The government agencies, the State Department for Housing, and the manufacturers and the developers, we have to all come around the table and agree that to deliver affordable housing, we all have to bring in our A game.
Jamie Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
When we look at buildings,
the All Chamber Federation Summit came to a close Thursday, marking the first time the event has been held on the African soil. The two-day summit, hosted by the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry and graced by President William Ruto, brought together thousands of delegates from trade chambers. The forum focused on unlocking Africa's trade potential, with leaders calling for deeper regional integration, stronger private sector linkages, and a more coordinated approach to positioning African businesses on the global stage.
As Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, we use this opportunity to see how we can leverage the Chamber of Commerce's fraternity across Africa to be the front seat drivers of Africa coming together as one market. The opportunity facing us as Africa is immense. With a population of about 1.4 billion people and a GDP of currently $2.5 trillion, the Africa Chamber leaders, being the bridge between government and private sector, stands at an opportune space, a sweet spot that will make this reality, this ambition of Africa come together as one market.
Athletics Kenya is working on a plan to generate more revenue in order to pay athletes better whenever they represent the country at various international competitions. AK President Jackson Tuwei told the Parliamentary Sports and Culture Committee that funding is their biggest challenge as they strive to make athletics more lucrative.
If there is any way you can assist us as a committee, Honourable Chair, to see that the government also takes care of these athletes. Like we said earlier on, things like taxation. If we can reduce this taxation for athletes' equipment, it will help a lot. Another one is, of course, infrastructure. Now we are trying to qualify the athletes to go for the World Championships in Tokyo. Kasarani is closed for renovation. Nyayo is closed for renovation. Those are the only two facilities we have in Kenya which are certified. And therefore, we cannot qualify the athletes at the moment. And yet the qualifying period is getting very close.
The national women football team, Harambee Starlets, and the under-17 women team, the Junior Starlets, are back in the country after playing 2 away friendly matches, each in Morocco and Ivory Coast. Harambee Starlets requested for a friendly match against Senegal or Ivory Coast, who play the same type of football as their next opponents in the Women Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, Gambia. Despite losing both matches against Ivory Coast, coach Belding Odimba says they have picked valuable lessons heading to the Sekafa Women Championship. The Junior Starlets drew 1 and won 1 match against Morocco as they prepare for the World Cup qualifiers, a last round match against Cameroon.
Welcome back.
There's a big gap, technical, tactical gap between us and Ivory Coast. No wonder they are highly ranked, and we picked a lot of lessons from it.
Come next time, we shall do better. Every window, we should be playing friendlies to keep us kujua weaknesses zetu na strengths zetu za kuwakia coming game ya Gambia October.
It has given us confidence to play against Cameroon. It has also given us areas to work on now that we are in Kenya.
Imetusaidia tumeget exposure na mimi naweza sema ilikuwa inatusaidia kutuonyesha tukienda kuface Cameroon tutakuwa aje, cause naweza sema Morocco, players wa Morocco na Cameroon kimwili wako the same, na kama tuliweza kumanage kuwin hiyo friendly match, mimi naweza sema tuko ready kuface Morocco.
The Term 1 secondary school ball games enter the final day of the group stages, with regional giants securing their spots in the semi-finals to be played on Friday. Day 3 also featured athletics events where Rift Valley and Central regions dominated in the 1500-meter races.
Brookside Secondary School's Term 1 Games highlights, brought to you by Brookside. Brookside, goodness for all.
17-year-old Ibrahim Kipruto from Irigidadi School in Central Region clocked 3 minutes 45 seconds to clinch the boys' title.
These girls are giving their best.
While Faith Chebet of Tiloa School from the Rift Valley crossed the finish line in 4 minutes 16 seconds to win the girls' race.
Mimi hata nilikuwa najaribu tu, lakini nikakatana, nikaona mimi nilitaka kuangukia tu. Lakini nimefanya mazoezi nimefanya kuanzia nikiwa class 8 hata class 6 bado na form 1 mpaka sasa niko form 4.
Race iko mbaya, ningeweza kuchukua hiyo race na mshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu. Ndio nitaenda kujipanga kwa East Africa, naenda kukasa mazoezi ili niweze kukata tikiti tena.
In rugby 15s, defending champions All Saints progressed to the semi-finals, winning their final group match against Central Region representatives Mangu High School 11-7. Upper Hill School from Nairobi also secured a semi-final slot after edging out Serani 6-5. They will now face Vihiga from the Western Region. In boys basketball, Dr. Agri lived up to their billing by beating Pioneer from Central Region 66-54 to book a place in the semis, where they will meet Lukenya from the Eastern Region. In the girls category, Butere girls from Western overwhelmed Asumbi girls 63-36 to join defending champions Kaya Tiwi girls in the last four. Butere will face Olympic, while Kaya Tiwi girls will take on St. Anthony. Education CS Migoso Gamba, who graced the event, emphasized the role of school games, noting that sports is a key pillar in shaping career paths under the competency-based curriculum CBC.
And we're ensuring that now we have integrated the whole sports system for all our learners, and that is a critical component of our CBC that we are handling.
All semi-final matches in hockey, basketball, handball and rugby are set for Friday at Shimolatewa School and Shanzu Teachers College. Steve Ashitera, Citizen TV, Shimolatewa, Mombasa.